It's time for America's #1 new podcast, The Reality Check. These guys believe reality is the truth as they see it. The Reality Check. Now, here's your host, Mike Scully.
Well, hello, America, and welcome to The Reality Check, Holiday Edition. I am joined in studio. I've got a cast of characters today, but I'm going to start to my left with my man, the original J Nic, the Yoda man. What do you say, Carl?
Hi, guys. I'm so happy to be back and going to have some fun today.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, brother. Good to have you back. And our new addition, my man, Santa Claus over here to the right. Only he's be celebrating Hanukkah on Christmas Day. The only one and only, the Hebrew Hammer. What do you say, brother?
A mazel tov to everybody.
And we are joined a special guest today in studio with us. Going back to 1985, one a movie from my childhood. Chunk, what do you say?
Hey, you guys. Not to be the one that corrects everybody, but that's sort of my role. He's Sloth.
Yeah.
Chunk was
Sloth.
his friend.
Chunk is his friend. Sorry.
You're Chunk.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Thank you, E. And we're sending out a special shout out to our man J Nic.
J Nic.
J Nic. Jesus, I'm gonna
How many
all banged
corrections
up
do you
today.
need me to do?
Wow.
Come on.
Here's Johnny.
See what happens when you take me to Bahama Breeze before the show?
Yeah.
But to J Nic, our boy Johnny Nicolosi from Free Shoes University. Johnny's been under the weather, but he's battling back, and he'll be back in studio with us after the holidays. We love you, Johnny, and we miss you dearly. So we're going to do this show in honor of you today. Well, gentlemen, let's start off segment one in the NCAA. And before we get to football, we had just talked about it in the green room before the show. It's something that I actually didn't have on the segment, but it's kind of happened in the last 4 or 5 hours. McAfee, Pat, who I love to death, and I'm a big fan of his show, had the president of the NCAA on today. And he was also the president, Elliot, appeared in front of in Congress or the Senate.
The Senate.
This week to talk about a bunch of stuff. But this one hits near and dear to my heart, boys, because you know what we're battling right now, trying to get my youngest, my last one, off to college to play baseball. And they just made a rule, which to me is, I'm trying not to use profanity, but is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. They're allowing baseball players to go to junior college for 2 years and then transfer and have 4 years of eligibility. So you could potentially have 25, 26-year-old seniors playing college baseball.
Well, they saw them do it through COVID, so they're still on their 8th year of COVID, which this happens to be the last year of COVID. Okay. But to continue this charade of, hey, you're in college, and if you can make money doing it, why go toil in the minors if you can get NIL money and stay in college?
Well, and go ahead.
Well, UNC's
Sloth.
UNC has 3 guys that play basketball that have been there for 7 years. So I'm glad the COVID's over. I'm glad it's over. And now you're saying they're doing this with a JUCO baseball.
With JUCO for baseball. I mean, the kid last night that played at UConn, the basketball player, I think he's been there since the Carter administration.
I'm pretty sure.
But, I mean, this is, and I talked to Jack, I talked to Jackie just before the show, and I'm like, how do you feel about this, little buddy? And he's not so little, he's 6'4". But he goes, it's dumb, Dad, because his goal, since his big brother played Division I baseball, is he wants to play Division I baseball and then see where that takes him after that. But he's like, why don't I go to JUCO for 2 years? And I'm draft eligible. And he says, and rather than go compete and try to win a spot on a Southeastern Conference team when you're playing against 24, 25, 26-year-old guys. And Jack's one of those that he's a young 2026. He's only going to be 17, not till next May.
And you look at how many of these guys could have taken a pro contract, toiled in the minors, getting paid nothing, or some people realize you cannot play at the major league level. You may be a AAA player, you may be a AA player, and that's your ceiling. Mm-hmm. But yet if you can get an education, get paid NIL money, live on these college campuses, that ain't so terrible. For a couple of years, that sounds like a good career start of a career.
Sounds like Bill Belichick.
But it's crazy, and I think that's where also the NIL is what we heard the president sounded a lot better today on Pat's show than he did in front of the Senate the other day. He got
Josh Hawley, who's the senator from, I think, Missouri.
Missouri, yeah.
He slaughtered him.
He absolutely wrecked him.
But I will say this.
I said wrecked him.
You did.
Damn near killed
You
him.
said rectum.
That's
a holiday rectum.
What I think the president of the NCAA, who's the former governor of Massachusetts, actually, when he made the argument today at the end of Pat McAfee's interview, said they're following case law. It's not like they're saying, you know what? Yeah, we think guys should be in women's locker room, which was sort of how it plays out normally in what most people hear. He's saying, look, there's been 5 cases of giving the opportunity, and they're following the law. And that if they go against the law, they're going to get sued.
So, Elliot.
So they're in a no-win situation as the NCAA. Not that the NCAA needs anybody to complain for them or defend them, but it's not as simple as them just saying, we don't agree with it, therefore it should stop.
So the case law states that dudes with junk who think they're women have to dress with the women. That's what the case law says. I'm pretty sure it says they're given the opportunity to play and compete against them, not change with them.
Correct.
So that's the problem they're having. I don't think that's one of the major problems, is that if my daughter is playing, if she's swimming and she's a swimmer and some dude's changing there and he's got a schlong hanging out, I don't want her looking at that. I think that was the biggest thing they were saying about in Congress, was it not?
Yeah, I listen, I completely agree with it. I think of someone like your daughter. I think some of my friends that have young daughters that are playing in all levels of sports and travel sports and grade school sports, high school sports, that, you know, they're going to get hurt. It's not going to be fair. Competition, bigger, stronger, faster. You add the locker room piece to it as well. But if somebody is a teammate, how do you ban them from a locker room, from a meeting, team organizational activities?
I think
that becomes another challenge. You just
ban them from changing with them. You don't ban them from the team meetings.
Well, but it comes down to it. You're either male or you're female. I'm sorry. There's two genders.
I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I fully believe in that. That's not what legal case law is.
Well, that's the problem. The legal system's the one that's all fucked up.
I'm guessing that came out of Massachusetts or Vermont. Just asking
most
for a friend.
likely.
I would guess California, but who knows?
One of the 3.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, so it's, again, I can go back 35 years when I played. I mean, the NCAA has been screwed up since then, and they can't figure it out. It just continues to. I mean, I'm struggling right now. I got a 16-year-old that's talking to coaches, and they're talking about scholarships and NIL money to a 16-year-old.
Different world.
What world am I living in right now?
Different world. Yeah.
Let's move on to football.
Yeah, let's get all right. Let's get to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Starts tomorrow night in God's country.
Yes, as Johnny would say,
South
God
Bend.
is playing Indiana.
It's the battle for the state of Indiana.
Oh, look at that.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So, but it's going to be cold. Can Indiana's run defense stop Notre Dame?
When I was prepping for the show, I had the impression that Notre Dame had a soft schedule and we're a paper champion, and weren't going to be. I was leaning towards Indiana as a gut instinct. Notre Dame's 5 of their last 7 games, they've dropped 49 points or more. They destroyed the ranked teams they played, Army and Navy, beat Texas A&M early in the season. I underrated them. I thought coming into my initial gut instinct was they were going to lose. I don't know now. I think they might be underrated.
Could they be the underrated one? Then in Indiana's schedule was fairly soft. And you heard it, the coach, Signetti, was also the AP Coach of the Year. I heard him talking about when they went into Ohio State, they screwed up because they went silent count, which the first time they'd gone silent count all year, and they were off, and just because they got boat raced.
Well, they had two special teams major gaffes, which led to direct 14 points from Ohio State. And then all of a sudden you're playing from behind, which allows Ohio State's defense to just pin their ears back and tee off on you.
Exactly.
So
they never got that chance against Michigan.
Right.
Well, and here's my point on that. To Elliot, you actually make a good point there. If Notre Dame hadn't lost the one game, they'd probably be the number 1 seed.
Nope, can't be. 5 best.
Well, my point being, I'm making fun of it being they could have 3 losses and still play in a national title game. It was more of a joke than seriousness, but thank you for the correction. My point
job.
being is that if they're undefeated, we're not even talking about it, but because they lost to the Sister Marys of the Blind, the one team they did lose to.
That would be Northern Illinois University from the great DeKalb.
Okay, tomato.
And that was September 7th. That was in the beginning of the season.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Indiana hasn't maybe played that tough of a schedule either, but they do put up points and they do a good job. I think if I'm having to pick somebody, what's the line, Scully?
I was going to say, sounds like the over to me.
Seven points.
Take the over to my consigliere to my left that I can't see out of this one eye. I like the over pick for sure. And, I'm going to go with Indiana. They haven't been there in forever. They're hyped. They're ready. I think they're going to see a run team that they've yet to see all year, but I think they'll make the proper adjustments, and I think Indiana covers. I think Notre Dame
Sloth
wins.
is on the deck with the Hoosiers.
Take the Hoosiers
Plus
and the
7.
points.
All right. How do you beat that, J Nic?
Well, I mean, you look at their run game, both teams. Yeah, they have 37, 40 rushing touchdowns. So they have a run game. Now you can make a case on the soft schedule, but with -7, I think Indiana's on the upswing, and I'm going to take the points too. Take Indiana.
All right, Elliot.
I'm going to go Notre Dame. I'm not much like last week. Not a fan of them. Not rooting for them, but believe they're going to win.
That's well done. Way to go, boys. All right, so I'm going. I just hate Notre Dame so much. I'm taking Indiana. I'm praying for the Big Ten. I hope they win.
Do they have a Jewish quarterback? No.
We'll get to that game a little later. BYU versus Colorado. The next one on the slate is the first one on the deck on Saturday, and that's SMU traveling from fairly warm Dallas to a very, very cold Happy Valley State College to play Penn State. Penn State's both teams' first visit to the college football playoffs. Penn State, you thought might have been there a little earlier than this time, but since Patrick's always said they can't beat Michigan and Ohio State, so they could never qualify to win the Big Ten. But they're laying 8.5 to SMU coming into Happy Valley. Sloth, what do you think?
Penn State. I like them. They have pretty helmets. It reminds me of Rocky Road.
J Nic.
I like Penn State as well. Alar was coming back on Oregon. They lost to Oregon, and who else did they lose to?
Penn State?
Ohio State.
Ohio State, right? So, yeah.
They didn't play Michigan this year.
No. But I do like Penn State. I think they cover.
They truly do have the easiest road, if you're honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
They play SMU, who just lost to Clemson. And, again, they score a lot, but what defense have they played? They played a Clemson defense and got beat, all being on the last-second field goal. However, if they win that game, they play Boise State, who has played no one. They have a phenomenal running back, but they haven't played anyone. So they have the easiest path. The only person that's going to beat Penn State is Penn State.
Do you concur?
Yes, ultimately. SMU's only lost, both their games were losses by 3 points. Penn State's only losses were by 7 points.
And that was Clemson and BYU.
Right.
Right, yeah.
And, to me...
To a Jewish quarterback.
You would expect this to be, I would expect this to be a much closer game. But what I think has changed my mind, or at least slanted a little bit, it is going to be cold.
Yes.
It is going to be snowy. It is going to be ugly, where SMU likes that their fast turf in Dallas, likes, chucking the ball around and being, a speed team. This is Big Ten weather and the advantage of playing at home.
Yeah.
But here's a question that I have. Penn State's backup quarterback declared for the portal.
He's gone.
I thought he was still able to play.
No. Another flaw with the NCAA.
Right. Well, and that's how much of that is a distraction to the team, or what was the Texas a couple of years ago in the championship game? Quarterback hurts his arm, right? And you need your backup.
And he was gone.
Right. Here it is. You look at this. That how bad is if you're not having your backup? Now you're on your third string, which we saw with Florida earlier this year. Your third string quarterback is me, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. So how much of that is a distraction for the team or something else?
And Drew Aller's had a hard time staying healthy the last 5-6 games. He's been dinged.
I still think it's Penn State.
Well, you three are going on the limb. I'm taking the upset. I'm calling SMU because I think Penn State will find a way to screw it up.
Can you imagine what that alumni and the money at SMU would do if they win this game?
Woo!
That is, yeah.
Whoa, Nelly.
And then here's a great game. Has Ohio State recovered from the game against the school up north? Because the alumni has not, and they have been all over Ryan Day for the last 3 weeks. But can they hold off Tennessee coming into the shoe? I mean, they're giving, what are they giving, 7.5?
7.5, yeah.
Wow. 7.5 points to Tennessee.
to me, that nobody believes in us. Nobody believes in our coach. We're going to play for our coach. Do we see something like that? Do we see them come out and say, you know what? We're going to defend Ryan Day and defend our coach. I don't care what they say outside. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what the alumni says. I care about what's happening in this locker room. Do we believe in our coach and do we play for our coach?
Yeah, they did have and you guys saw it. I showed it to you earlier. They had the greatest meme earlier in the week. Tennessee's uniforms for the game. They're coming out in all black, and the helmets are black with the orange, but it looks like the Michigan helmet.
The Wolverine helmet.
That may just change my on who I'm going with.
Well, Southeastern Conference versus Big Ten. You know what? The third best team in the Southeastern Conference, probably.
Yes.
But Tennessee barely beat Florida. Tennessee, their win was against Georgia, but Tennessee has not looked
Tennessee should not have beat Florida.
Correct.
Florida gave that to Tennessee in Knoxville.
Tennessee has not looked great. I know they've got all the talent. How they go out and execute, whole different ballgame.
But if it comes down where it's a close game, does Ohio State shit the bed? Because they're questioning
themselves. The answer is yes. They will outright pick. Tennessee wins outright.
Sloth on Tennessee. J Nic?
Ohio State. I think it's going to be a close game. That line again is what, 8.5?
7.5.
7.5. But I'm still going to go with Ohio State. Lay the point.
Yeah, Ohio State played all of the other teams other Big Ten teams that are in the playoffs really tight. If it wasn't for an extra 2 seconds, they probably would have beat Oregon at Oregon.
Yep.
I'm still a believer in the ability of Ohio State. I think what is the mentality of the coach and that team? I think they win this one.
Elliot, do you think they get popped as hard in the mouth by Oregon or Michigan as they will against Tennessee?
Are you talking a physicality standpoint?
Yeah.
Well, again, you go back to what is Big Ten football historically known for? Power football, being able to run the ball, which they tried to do.
Cloud of dust.
Correct. Which in cold weather, which I think we were talking before, it's going to be in the teens.
Teens, yeah.
Weather is likely going to be snowy and dreadful. Does not necessarily play for an open style offense. Nico Iamaleava for Tennessee, he's I think a Hawaiian kid.
Yeah.
How's he going to like that cold and throwing the ball around? I don't really think so. I think had these games been played at historic bowl sites, which is traditionally warmer weather,
or
better
inside,
fields, or inside,
right.
Totally different bowl game. These played in that upper Midwest, cold, dreadful weather,
and that's why I think Ohio State has an edge on this. That's why I went with them.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
Ohio
the
State,
Buckeyes as
Ohio
well?
State.
Okay.
I will say this, Scully. Whoever wins the game, in my opinion, wins the national championship.
Okay. That's a bold statement. I'm going to take the Southeastern Conference in this one. I'm going with Tennessee. In the last of the first round of the college football playoffs is Dabo Swinney's Clemson Tigers traveling to Austin to play Sark's Texas Longhorns. The Longhorns are laying 12, gentlemen. Laying 12. Sloth?
I was kind of hoping to go last, but I'll go first.
I'll step up for you.
Okay, well, it only has to deal with my dissertation. That's how I speak, Carl.
All right. Elliot.
I look. Clemson got smoked by Georgia early in the year. Then South Carolina at the end of the year couldn't beat them. I'm not a believer in Clemson at all.
Did you watch the South Carolina Clemson game?
Parts of it did not.
Clemson outplayed him for 55 minutes. Then the quarterback, who's a special talent from South Carolina,
woke up,
won him the game in the last 5 minutes. They outplayed him for 55 minutes.
But it's not like Texas doesn't have some special talents that they can roll out, do similar things.
Oh,
not to say that Sellers, the quarterback from South Carolina, is.
I just don't see it as a 12-point game.
I
do.
Okay.
I think Texas announces their presence with authority and comes out and makes a statement.
Yeah. J Nic?
I like Texas as well. Minus 12, 2 touchdowns. I think it's a doable thing. I think the defense is really solid. They lost to Georgia twice, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I think they have the tools to go ahead and get it done, and I think they can. 12 points. I don't think it's a stretch.
Okay, Sloth on your dissertation.
Well, contrary to my two gentlemen to the left and right of me, everyone I have spoken to, everyone I've listened to on the radio and on TV is going with Clemson. They are all so far up Clemson's butt, it's ridiculous. Clemson this, Clemson that. Clemson's going to win the game. I like Texas simply because all the experts that are prettier than this have all gone with Clemson. So I too go with Texas, boys. I'm with you. I thought for sure y'all were going to go with Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, the line's minus
-12
-12 for a reason, right? It's a big line. So
Yeah.
I don't think they could make the line high enough. They're still trying to find that point where people will start buying into Clemson.
Yeah, start betting Clemson.
Okay, before we get on to the 5 Capital One bowl games that we picked that we're all kind of tied into, either graduated, played, did whatever, we were on the hook earlier in the year. My Ole Miss Rebs did not make the playoff. They're out. Who do you think wins the college football playoff? Because we will be off the air. Well, we'll come back
We got
after
plenty of time.
Plenty of time, but let's make a prediction right now before the first round. Who do you think wins the whole thing? See, Nick, you go first.
I liked Oregon. Right?
From day one.
From day one.
Yep.
So I'm going with Oregon.
Okay. Elliot?
Simple.
I was not expecting this question. I hadn't teased it out
You can wing it.
to really think about it.
I won't hold you to it, but who do you think going into the first round?
Have you met my man to my right? Sloth over here. Because I hold him to his predictions. So I anticipate this being held against me as well. So
I won't hold it against you.
Only if you ask him.
But
to.
right now, looking with the 12 teams, who do you think wins it?
Texas.
Okay. I think that's a good pick. Sloth?
Started with Georgia. I got to stay with Georgia, although I don't like the fact the quarterback is out in the championship game. He needs Tommy John surgery. If it wasn't for that, it would be an all-in without question. Still going with Georgia because I don't waver, but I do believe that I'm going. Georgia's my pick. However, I think they will play, if they're not in the same bracket, the winner of Ohio State, Tennessee.
Okay.
Got to stay with Georgia. That's who I picked, but they're going to play Ohio State or Tennessee.
I'll stay on the hook with the Bulldogs as well. I'll ride that dog with you.
I like it.
With the Georgia Bulldogs. All right, let's transition to the Capital One Bowl games. We've got 5 that we selected. I'm going to start in honor of our man with Rutgers versus K-State. Rutgers is getting 7 in the Rate Bowl. This is played the day after Christmas.
So December 27th, 2005, my brother and I went out to this bowl game. It was Rutgers' first ever bowl game outside the state of New Jersey. First college football game played at home at Rutgers in the mid-1800s. One bowl game in their entire history prior to 2005. That was the 1978 Garden State Bowl, played at the Meadowlands. We went out to the very first game against Arizona State. Of course, lost that game. So, fond memories of being out in Phoenix for this game. Here's the problem with predicting these games. Transfer portal. Kyle Monangai, second leading rusher in the Big Ten this year, an absolute power back, allows Rutgers to dominate not only the line of scrimmage and time of possession. No idea if he's staying. Hasn't declared if he's going to go to the draft. Hasn't declared if he's leaving to another school. Hasn't declared if he's coming back. If they don't have him, they've got some nice backup running backs, but I certainly think it hurts you. Kansas State had the control of the Big 12 at their fingertips. Win out, you go to the Big 12 title game, lost 3 of their last 4. Give Shiano, what has he got, a month to prepare for this game? I got to take the boys from home.
Okay, Rutgers getting 7. Tricky?
Yes, Elliot, you are right. The transfer portal has made it difficult, yet we will still play the game and we will still gamble on it.
Unless you're Marshall.
So,
we'll go back to that.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, yes.
And poor Army.
However, I don't care. I'll go with Rutgers because of you.
He's not the best color man in the business for nothing. Clearly those broadcasting classes really paying off for you there, Patrick.
Oh yeah, well,
University of South
you
Alabama.
took such a long time. I had to eat up some. The clock got.
They won their bowl game, so he's happy. See, Nick?
I'm jumping on the bandwagon. Rutgers had some great wins. I'm going to lay the 7. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, the next one we have on the docket is on the 27th, and this traditionally would be an unbelievable game. Texas A&M playing USC in the Las Vegas Bowl. SC's getting 3.5. They got coaches leaving. They got players that are already in the transfer portal. What do you think? I think A&M absolutely just boat races them.
A&M rolls. USC's in trouble, and allegedly Lincoln is on the hot seat right now, and his talent coming in next year is worse than he's got this year. It's A&M all day.
So Lincoln Riley had a very interesting interview this week where coaches normally never say anything. And he literally came out and said, we have a salary cap. We've got a certain amount that we can pay for players. And it used to be you go, you sit in somebody's home, you meet the parents, you talk about the academics, you talk about what campus life is like, how you're going to prepare them not only for the NFL, but life afterwards. Now the conversation is just, how much are you going to pay me?
Exactly.
Shocking to have a coach at that level come out and just say, here's the reality. But like you said, players have left, quarterback left. They are in deep trouble, but they've got the deep pockets and the alumni to do what Ohio State this year did and roll out $20 million to buy everybody back. They're not going to buy him back for this game.
Right. Well, I'll let Carl make his pick and we'll jump back on that topic.
Yeah. I mean, normally, previous years, it may be a little easier, to choose, USC in this situation. But again, the landscape has changed. It's very different. And I feel bad for these kids, actually, the ones that are sticking around and playing in this, in this game. But, again, I don't think USC's got the,
They don't have the horses.
No, they don't. They don't have, the drive.
Well, we talked last week. This is what drove Saban out. But what brought Bill Belichick in? Well, he's also hired a GM to take care of all that.
Who Mike Lombardi, former NFL GM, and understands cap and money and manage all of those. And that was when Lombardi was in
New
England. Lombardi he's one of the greatest listens to.
Oh yeah.
He is so detailed and can explain things so well. Huge love following Mike Lombardi. Ocean City, New Jersey guy. So shout out there, going back home.
And you saw Stanford do the same thing. They brought the big brain back with Andrew Luck.
And so with Belichick, he knows his job is to coach and teach football. Lombardi's job is to fundraise and to decide how the money's going to be divvied up.
Yeah.
If you could separate those pieces and just let him cook, let him coach, just do that, that's really where I think why he came back.
And you saw Greg Byrne this week at AD at Alabama. He's asking their alumni, not their heavy hitters, because those guys and gals are getting worked over, but he's asking each one of the University of Alabama alumni to contribute $18 a month. $18 a month solely to raise money to pay for players.
Isn't that the Fiona Apple, the pet SPCA commercial? They say for $12 a month you can adopt a dog, and all this other different stuff.
$11 a month you can give to Tunnel for Towers.
Is Patrick going to have the face on that commercial?
I need to. I get
$12, right?
Back to his point. What's the difference between a reason and an excuse? With Lincoln coming out saying what he said, to me it sounds like an excuse. Because to your point with USC, they could have so much money to come in there. It's like the Yankees saying, oh, well, because of the luxury tax, we couldn't afford to buy our 9th player. That's why we didn't win this year. No, that is a pure excuse. Is it a reality? Sure. But he has the reality to generate more money than I would say at least 6 colleges out there. That's all on him. That's just a way of him saying, well, this is why we didn't win because it's changed. Well, no shit, it's changed. That's why Saban got out and you went to USC just for the big paycheck and you left Oklahoma High. So that's I have a problem with that. When you're one of the top 6 teams that can generate money and you're going to sit there and say it's changed and that's why we're not doing well, I don't have time for that.
Well, and that came out of the interview, again, going back to the Pat McAfee, NCAA, Charlie Baker, I think is president, came out and said, supposedly the agreement will be signed in April of next year to be set for the next football season, where it's no longer just the alumni contributing to the NIL, but really streamlined through the school. Because right now it's supposed to be that the coaches don't know what's in the collectives from the alumni and everything else, that it becomes streamlined saying, all right, we've got a budget of X amount of dollars. We can negotiate with the players directly. But Florida has a linebacker who just went into the transfer portal. And this came out on Twitter today. So again, Twitter can't say that it's officially factual, but he said, not only did he want a certain amount of ticket allotment and everything else, but he wanted guaranteed that he was going to be the starting outside linebacker. He wanted guaranteed that he was going to be playing on third down.
Florida, right? Yeah.
Who entered the transfer portal. Like, money is one thing, but to guarantee that you're going to be playing on third downs or guarantee that you're going to be a starting spot, go out and earn the damn thing.
Exactly.
Well, bye.
Yeah.
Bye, Jan.
But if I could go back, Carl made a point. You said you feel sorry for the kids. You feel sorry for the players. Marshall who was supposed to play Army in one of the bowl games. pulled out on Saturday. They had 25 kids go into the transfer portal. Now, they still had plenty of scholarship players that could have gone, and they had been preparing, and the coaches knew they were playing. So now, not only are those kids from Marshall not going to be able to get the experience of a bowl game this year, but now you're scrambling to find which teams where all the kids are off on college break, haven't been in the gym, the student managers and everybody else that supports the team haven't been around to try to get the alums to start going to a bowl game when you're already 5-7 or whatever your record is. Louisiana Tech did step up to go to this game, but you're committing to something.
Right.
Let's make that happen. Even if, like we saw Florida State last year get destroyed with not only their quarterback out, but everybody else in the portal.
Exactly. Well, we'll jump back in. We got 2 games to pick. This is a pseudo Big 12 championship game, but BYU and the BYU are playing the Colorado Buffaloes and the Heisman Trophy winner, and the Buffs are giving BYU 3 points, and it's in the Alamo Bowl on the 28th. Carl, what do you think? BYU or Colorado?
I got to go with Coach Prime. I mean, I fought it earlier, previous episodes.
Now your brother's rubbed off on you.
Well, Coach Prime, and again, I mean, what he's done with that team is amazing. And I just think I didn't think he really had all the coaching talent, but he certainly does. And I think BYU, I think Colorado is, they're going to win this game.
He learned a long time ago to be a good general.
Yeah.
Sloth?
I like to think of this, bowl game as the Othello Bowl. And I'm going to go with Prime because he's on the right side of the Othello Bowl.
I see what you're doing there, and I'm not going to comment on it. But
Shelby, I'm wrong.
But I will say this: so the fact you've got 2 conference teams playing in the same bowl game, it goes back to the rule that the bowls this year are still lined up based on previous conference
on
affiliations,
alignment, correct?
Which is why they happen to be playing. And I think people that had been critical of Deion Sanders, you saw how much pride he had in Travis Hunter and in all the interviews and talking about how he's not just helped him turn into an amazing football player, but an amazing man. And so I think people judged Deion before actually really seeing how much what he believes in his players. That being said, has all of this then been a distraction of getting ready for a bowl game? They just signed the quarterback from Liberty to come in next year to compete with the number 2 recruit quarterback coming in the country as a freshman. They've been spending their time in the portal. They've been spending time on the Heisman stuff. Have they been really getting ready for a bowl game? What distractions has BYU had? I'd say they haven't.
Focused on Colorado.
Exactly.
And there's 2 things about Travis Hunter which don't normally get reported on. Gave away all his NIL money to his teammates and is a 4.0 student.
That's amazing.
Which I think is
well done.
That is special.
Is a pretty special kid.
Yeah.
And he's had good guidance because obviously his father is, I believe, is behind bars.
I mean, he talked about how much he loves to fish and would want to go fishing every chance he get. And I think he even said right after he won the Heisman that what's one of the things he wants to do is go fishing.
Did he want to go to Disney World?
He hasn't. He hasn't fished all year.
Yeah.
He's been focused, even after a game, been in the weight room, been in the gym,
taking care of his body.
Correct. He's been focused on that.
All right. Well, the last game we're going to finish in the Capital Bowl series, Capital One Bowl series, is one near and dear to my heart. The South Carolina Gamecocks are playing the Fighting Illini on the 31st, and my Illini are getting 9.5 points. See, Nick, what do you think? Can my Illini pull off the upset and get their 10th win of the year?
Have they been covering down the stretch?
No, they have not.
They have not.
No, they did cover against Northwestern.
Everybody covered against Northwestern.
I was going to say that myself.
Well, the trend is not there for them covering. So,
everybody said South Carolina was the one team, if they got in the playoffs, was the one team you didn't want to play right now.
When Illinois started. Sorry, Carl. I didn't mean to cut.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, you know who I'm going with. Unfortunately, Scully, you're
going South Carolina.
I am.
I don't want to say this with the big man sitting right next to me. I'm
distance.
still within an arm's reach.
I'm in 2 arms. He's got big arms, but I'm in 2 arms distance.
But Illinois came out early in the season, smoking everybody. Highly ranked early in the season, looking dangerous. South Carolina, the exact opposite, did not come out hot. But yet has there been a hotter team in the last 5 weeks than what they've been able to do. If the season was an extra week longer, South Carolina may be in the playoff.
I will beg to differ on South Carolina because they actually had LSU beat, got a horrendous call by an official, which called off a touchdown. And then the next play, LSU took it back for a pick six. Should have been a role reversal the other way. And they had Alabama on the ropes in Tuscaloosa. They've played solid football all year long, and they got hot and played really well down the stretch.
Right, that was the point. That they, coming down the stretch, they lost some of those games early that were very winnable, but then on the back end, nobody was taking anything from it, especially that quarterback Norris that we talked about.
He played really well.
Phenomenal.
Exactly.
And assuming he stays, I think you got to look at him as a potential Heisman candidate next year coming in because he is dangerous running and passing.
We're super jack as Luke Altmaier at the Tennessee basketball game the other night when we played number 1 Tennessee and got beat by a layup with 0.2 seconds left. He announced he's coming back next year, which is great for us. All right, so you're taking South Carolina. Sloth, are you with me or not?
I'm with you. I'm your guy.
That's my
You
guy.
want me on that wall because I scare everyone away. No, I think South Carolina, they beat Clemson. Their season's complete. Illinois, the ball game means more to them than it does South Carolina. And even though I think South Carolina, sorry, buddy, is a better team, Illinois is the way to go.
All right, so before we wrap up this first segment, let's have Sloth's power picks.
Yes.
Can Sloth read without his phone?
Well, I'm blind in this thing. So I will go off memory, but I believe. I like the Gators minus the points.
Tomorrow's bowl game.
I believe it's 6.5. I like Tennessee catching the points at plus 7.5. And my third one was, let's see if I can come to it. It was, hey, you guys. I came through. Texas A&M against USC. Lay the points, gentlemen. And those are the three. A&M, Tennessee, and Florida. All SEC, I know it, but I know my conference.
You are an SEC homer. We know that. We love you.
So those are the three power picks.
All right, so we're going to go to this first break. We're going to thank Bob and Rudy Hamer from Coastal Title for their love and support. Please follow, like, and subscribe, and I cannot wait for Patrick to take off that freaking mask. We'll be back in just a minute with the reality check. Thank you.
And I got to pee.
And we're back. Well, this next segment, gentlemen, we're going to transition to the National Football League from college football. We had some good talk there, but I would like to welcome to the show today. He joined us for segment number 2. But Trick, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Hey,
it's delightful to be here.
There you are, buddy.
In the first segment.
Yeah, I heard I had a good fill in.
And Nakatomi Plaza. It is a Christmas movie. That'll be the big debate.
Yes.
Well, guys,
at least it's a Christmas party.
Yeah, we know when we move closer to the holidays, it means National Football League is coming down to the wire.
Boo.
And we got, 3 games left, I believe?
Yes, before the playoffs.
Is it 3 or 4? It's 3,
Three.
right?
3.
So you've got 4. I think we isolated 4 games on the slate this week that are good, that are worth talking about. And the first one I'm going to start with is the Steelers and the Ravens. Ravens are giving the Steelers 6.5 points. TJ Watt's got a little banged up ankle. We don't know how he's going to come around. They got exposed, I think, a little bit last week in Philadelphia. Philadelphia took it to them. Who we liking in this one? Carl, I'm going to start with you, my brother.
Well, the Steelers did beat the Ravens, correct?
Yes, they did.
18-16,
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
right? And I think the line on that game originally was the Ravens were favored by 3.5.
Okay.
They're favored by what now?
6.5.
6.5. Okay. I still can't believe the Ravens are 8-6? Is that thereabouts? No.
No, they're better than
9
that.
and 5. They're 9 and 5. I just think they're a little better of a team. I mean, their defense is a little suspect, and obviously that's gotten them into trouble. but I'm going to lay the points. I do believe in Lamar, and I do believe in the Ravens.
Well, the question is, and I know we talked about him earlier in the year before I moved to you there, Nakatomi Plaza. Will they start utilizing him in the proper way? Because they have not. The last 4 weeks, he's been a fantasy dud.
Who is this?
But they
you
haven't
speak
run
of?
him. That would be the one and only Derrick Henry.
Oh,
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
the guy that was going to have tires blown off, and I've taken ridicule for the first 10 weeks. Yeah, he hasn't been doing really well, has he?
But
He was
it's-
hot in the beginning, right?
Yeah,
he
but
was
he's-
very hot.
But I can't blame that on him because his touches are down.
Well, I heard
Why?
his touches down because when he touches the ball, he's not doing anything.
Okay.
There's a reason why they're not feeding him the ball. Now, granted, some of it might be Lamar, which was my statement of why I thought he was going to be a dud in the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
For a while there, he was Mike Allstott. When you got on the 1 yard line, 2 yard line, 3 yard line, you handed it to him. So he got fantasy points because of touchdowns. I mean, obviously in the beginning of the season, he did well yardage wise as well, but he was just getting touchdowns. He wasn't getting yards. He wasn't getting touches then. The reason why you're noticing it now is because they're not getting down to the 3 yard line. They're further back, and Lamar either throws it or runs it in. So I think finally he is coming to what I thought he is, who I thought he was. Little green for you, Coach Green. But that aside, I'm going with Pittsburgh. I think they want it more. I think they got embarrassed. I think Mike will get them ready to go. And I think they beat them once, and I think they know they can beat them again.
So take the Steelers plus the 6.5.
I think they win on the money line.
Right.
They win the money line.
Do you think they're going to win outright in Baltimore?
Yes.
Okay.
What part of money line was not clear
Yeah,
on that?
no, I was just, I wanted to reiterate that because.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
remember, well, they
it's
were going to
actually-
lose at home. They were going to get blown out by Lamar and his limp wristing throwing style. And lo and behold, they didn't win.
Well, my friend from LA over here, Lower Alabama.
This is
Yes.
true.
My friend from LA, a couple things that I disagree with on. You know, that was a close game.
Just a couple.
Just a couple. It was a close game in Pittsburgh. You held Pittsburgh to a bunch of field goals in that game. Didn't convert. Now you're back in Baltimore. Pickens with the hamstring. I know he missed the game last week. I think he's playing this week, but that hamstring injury, you're not back fully,
It's
100%.
death for a wide receiver. I
Correct.
agree.
And especially as weather's turning colder, tougher to keep that thing mobile and moving, and tough to beat a team twice, especially one that you've seen twice a year, every year. Coaches know each other, players know each other.
Yeah, you got to ask why the line is 3 points higher.
Well, but
Yeah, I mean,
it's
yeah.
home
Home
field
field.
because it's home field.
Right, but 3 points?
Well,
Yeah, that's what home
home
field
field
is.
does. But I will say this: these games always end up being close. Take the points, Pittsburgh and the points. But I think Baltimore wins it.
Yeah, I'm worried about TJ. I think that's a huge loss if he's not back to 100%. All right, the next one on the slate's a great game. The Houston Texans are going into Kansas City. Talk about another injury. Mahomes, he's down with another ankle, but he's going to play.
Yep.
But that kid finds a way. Can they find a way to win another game? I mean, they have all season long found ways. Now, last week they looked pretty good against Cleveland, but the Browns actually were the Browns.
Yeah, Scully, I don't know that. I mean, you see him hobble off the field.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
But we've seen that before.
Yeah, but here again, I mean, we've all had injuries, and really, do they really need to win this game? I know they want to buy, but I think, protecting him and protecting his health, they could be Super Bowl bound again. And I think they're taking a chance actually playing him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not taking KC. I don't think they're going to win the game.
3 games in 11 days is what they're facing right now.
Yeah.
Which is tough, even on the healthiest of circumstances. I believe they have a 2-game lead in the conference for that bye and home field advantage.
Yeah, that's
throughout.
what they're trying to win this one to get this one.
Yeah, I
And
get it.
Houston's already clinched their division.
They
The
have.
chances of Houston moving up or down significantly really isn't likely. Maybe you're 4 seed, 3 seed, but you're not going up to 2. You're certainly not going up to 1. And winning the division means you're not going below 4. Houston's kind of locked in. Are they really going out? So if Kansas City wins this game,
if KC holds, they don't have to go to Buffalo.
and then you can sort of take the foot off the gas in the next couple of weeks. If you take the foot off the gas here, try to get him healthy. Now you're still chasing. You're only 1 game difference with Buffalo. So,
So who do
Big
you
Red
like,
has been
Kansas
there.
City or the Texans?
I'm hearing Texans.
I
I mean,
think
or no, I'm hearing KC. You like KC?
I'm the mush. I know whoever I pick is going to be wrong. Let's go with Houston.
Okay.
It's going to be wrong.
Thank you, that my friend, because you are correct. They have a 2-game lead, but is it really 2 games? Because if they have the same record as Buffalo, up to this point, who is the one team to beat Kansas City?
Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, so they will on the tiebreaker and beat them. So they don't. They on paper have a 2-game lead, but if they tie them and they're the top 2, they don't get the bye. So to your point that you just elegantly made, I'm with you. This game, I think, is more important to Kansas City than it is to Houston, because Houston's not going to move up. And if they win this game and Buffalo happens to lose, which I don't see happening, but if it does, they're guaranteed that first round bye, because Buffalo can't catch them and tie them. And I think they're going to see them go all out, just like last week when they actually covered for once, as opposed to just barely winning. And Mahomes, if you've seen him in the past, you can barely keep him off the field. Even when he gets injured, he wants to go back in. And Andy Reid, last time this happened, had to force him to sit. And he was pissed. So with him having a full week to recover, he'll be out there. It's more important to Kansas City. Chiefs all day.
Okay. I like it. The third game we have on the slate is the Minnesota Vikings traveling 2 time zones to play the Seattle Seahawks, or Sea Chickens, as Patrick eloquently calls them. J Nic, what do you like this one?
I like the Vikings in this game.
Vikings are given 3.5.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, they've been
home
playing,
dog, Seattle.
They've been playing well down the stretch. They had a little bit of a hiccup, but then they picked it up again. And Darnold and Jefferson, they're starting to connect again. So I do like Minnesota in this game.
Okay.
Minnesota with 7 straight wins. Addison really opening up that offense by having a second weapon.
Exactly.
Allows you to not necessarily double Jefferson.
Well, you pick your poison.
Correct. And, that being said, though,
they got a hell of a tight end, too.
Hawkinson, right?
Yeah.
Hawkinson.
The issue with Seattle, they're playing for their life right here. If the likelihood of, if they don't win this division, they're likely not getting a wild card. So their life is on the line. I know Minnesota still has the chance to get the 1 seed, still win the division, still be a high seed, and not deal with wild card and whatnot. But Seattle has to win these games. Has to. And especially at home, got to do it. Seattle.
Tricky?
Well, it's been my experience that you don't mess with Mother Nature. She always wins. It's supposed to be a monsoon out there. It's 98% chance of rain. It's Seattle, so I know that's not a surprise.
How's that any difference? Yeah, so they're saying there's a chance.
My point being is that what is Minnesota's strength? Passing. And when it's wet, if we saw anything from last debacle of a Thursday night game, is that when it rains, they lose their mind and forget how to catch a ball or throw it for that matter. So with that being said, I think that hurts Minnesota. I mean, nothing against their running back, but it hurts them. And to Elliot's point, we are agreeing a lot today. I kind of like this.
I'm your huckleberry.
But I agree. It's more important to Seattle. They are playing for their life, and don't get me wrong, Minnesota wants to win, but I think the weather is going to be there. It's going to be the nail in the coffin.
I'm going to take the Vikings in the Sam Darnold Reclamation Project.
Yeah.
All right, the last game we got in the NFL that we picked in our slate is the Eagles going into D.C. to play the Redskins. And the Redskins at home getting 3.5 from the Eagles.
Here again, I'm going with the visitor. I'm taking the Eagles.
You're fly, Eagles, fly?
I am. Let's do it. I mean,
okay. You're going to make Elliot happy.
It's all about that.
I was 3 years old, but I learned how to spell Eagles. That's
I still don't know how. EGLAS.
Spend a couple of minutes in Philly. You'll know real quick.
I'm sure.
Saw a woman at Wawa today, of course. Philly Wawa.
Of course.
Wearing an Eagle sweatshirt.
JTP.
The Eagles playing tremendous. Did they galvanize their locker room last week? Got both wide receivers 100 yards. Shared the ball, made sure that they sort of made nice with everybody. This is their last tough game. They take the bus down or the train down to D.C. Then they've got the Giants and Cowboys both at home, who are dumpsters of franchises at the moment.
I think this is a statement game too. Yeah.
They win this game. They don't control their destiny to be the 1 seed, but the teams in the NFC North division, the North division, are going to have to beat each other up. If the Eagles win out, I think they get the 1 seed, and the path to the Super Bowl goes through Philadelphia. Not that has helped them in the past because they've had home field advantage, but I think they are focused to go out and win this one.
Tricky.
As far as fixing everything, I think for the time being they have, because he made a point in the first half to every throw he looked at, he was looking for Brown. He looked for him first. Whether he threw to him or not, it's another story, but he looked to him every single pass play first, which is a problem, in my opinion, because then that means he's focused on one guy as opposed to actually worried about the team and who's open and who has the best shot. I think Washington goes in there and they stun him and they beat him simply because the minute that Brown's not getting the ball because he's getting doubled, he's going to get pissy, and then people are going to get upset on the sideline. And then it's just downhill from there. I think Washington has the ability to beat them. They're going in there. I'm taking Washington.
Would Jason Kelsey, having retired, having been one of the captains of the team and been that locker room stalwart, him retiring last year, does that leave that void?
I think it does.
Where the experience and on that offense, and they've got plenty of guys on defense on that defensive line.
Yeah, but I think Lane
Johnson,
Johnson, he's been around long enough. He should have stepped forward in that role. And as much as I'm a Jalen Hurts fan, because you guys know I love Alabama, he's their Achilles heel. And I think they got exposed again, and I think last week is just a facade. And we'll see if I'm right or wrong the next couple of weeks. But I think they're going to find their way out early.
How dare you?
Well done, boys.
Another victory for the boys in the back.
Absolutely. All right, Trick, give us your power picks in the NFL.
Well, Washington plus the 3.5 is mine. Again, I think they win the game outright, but I think that take the 3.5 points. It'll be a close game. It always is. Excuse me, between these two. I also like the over of Cincinnati, which, by the way, Cincinnati, even though they have had you have the two teams, Kansas City, who can't lose no matter how hard they try. They get blocked field goals, they get missed field goals, they get fumbled snaps going into. I mean, it's unbelievable how they have won. And then you have Cincinnati, which is unbelievable how they've lost, but they are still not technically eliminated. And they play Detroit, or they play Denver in one of the games coming back, and the Denver Chargers are tonight. So there's a chance they could catch the lightning bolts.
And they got Cleveland.
That's correct. So they still are alive. So I think they have no defense, but I think they're going to score a ton of points. So I like them. I like Washington, and they haven't bucked me yet. Arizona minus the 5 against the hapless Carolina Panthers. I'm just picking whoever Carolina's playing.
Right. Well, that's great strategy.
I think so. It's paid off so far. I mean, I did go 5-1 from the horrible week before. I did go 5-1. The only one that let me down was Marquette, losing to Dayton.
Oh, don't say that over these airwaves.
Yeah.
Aside from
that Thursday night over,
that wasn't one of my power picks. But I did agree with you before I knew the monsoon was there. But that wasn't one of the power picks. So not counting those. But of my power picks, I went 5-1, 0-3 in the NFL last week. That's who I like. Arizona over Cincinnati and whatever the other one was.
The Redskins.
The Redskins plus 3.5.
Okay. And they will be renamed the Redskins again.
They're always They were never unnamed to me.
Exactly. I have a titanium me because of it. All right, as we go to break, we want to thank our good friend Frank Papasadaro over at Jan Pro of Southwest Florida for your commercial cleaning.
Frankie.
We love you, Frankie. If you need help with your cleaning, you call Frank. He's the man. Please follow, like, and subscribe to The Reality Check, and we'll be back with our final segment in just a minute. Thank you. Well, welcome back, America. It is time for our final segment, and we're going into the holidays for a little holiday break. We'll be back after the first of the year to pick NFL playoff games and the rest of the college football playoff and have some discussion on what's going to go on in the spring. But want to end with a little holiday cheer. And I know we're going to get Patrick with his sans paper, but Carl, what do you got for a little Yoda knowledge with some holiday cheer this week?
I just want to say that this has been a phenomenal year. I really enjoyed doing this podcast with you guys, and we really appreciate all our listeners and all our viewers out there as well. And I am just ready for some college football, sitting back with an ice cold beer and watching some NFL playoff games. And I'm just very thankful that I have great friends as you guys, and wish my brother can be here as well. But thank you.
We love you, Johnny.
Thank you.
We love you, Carl. Thank you. Elliot?
I said a piece last week of, where it's been a challenging year and the Village. And there were a lot of people that saw the show and reached out. A lot of people that I sent this out to as an appreciation and sent it out. So it really is. And so to echo Carl's point, it really is. The people make the biggest difference. It's not about what you have. It's not about what you've got or anything like that. It really is who surrounds you and surrounded with love. So great. Very grateful for that.
God bless you. What sands your paper, my brother?
Well, before I get into that, I'd also like to say how thankful I am for my good friends that I have, and for Hayden, Cole, and Laura. They're awesome. What a great family. I don't deserve it, but I'm happy I got it. It's kind of like a lot of winners. They don't deserve it, but they're keeping the money. What sands my paper, and it really irks me because of the fact of, like, when this dude that's allegedly been charged with killing the dude from United Healthcare and cold blood. I mean, just straight up murder. How these people, now granted, what sands my paper is that they are misguided. How can you be so misguided that you cheer for someone to kill someone? Now, I get that you don't like the health insurance companies, that they feel like they screw people over, and I'd have to say they probably do a lot of that. But what they need to understand is all they're going to do is fill in someone else who's going to do the board what they wish them to do and tell them to do, and they're going to do the same thing. So nothing will have changed from this dude losing his life. And for you to cheer and to make this killer hear praises is just beyond me. A dude lost his life. A kid lost his father. A wife lost her husband. If his parents are still alive, they lost a son. Focus on that. This is horrible and tragic, because even though you're cheering because it's a big bad insurance company, if someone did that to your dad, you wouldn't be cheering at all. And that really sands my paper.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
It's horseshit.
And especially you compare that to Daniel Penny, who was the guy who was just exonerated, who was there to try to protect people
And
on the subway.
Help them.
His goal was to help. The end, someone dying was tragic. Horrible. But he was there with the intent of saving other people.
And just restraint.
Right. Daniel, the one that put the sleeper hold on.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And now he's a villain. And the guy that goes and shoots somebody in the back is considered a hero.
In the back.
By some people. It blows my mind.
What a great country.
God.
Yakov Smith, what a country.
Oh, God bless you.
So what about you, Scully?
Well, I actually have a few things to discuss. First, I want to wish my boy Jack good luck tomorrow. Jack is doing...
Good luck, Jackie.
Yeah, well, you're going to love this. He's doing an Instagram deal tomorrow with Trevor Bauer. Remember, Trevor Bauer used to pitch for the Dodgers and then got caught up and was accused falsely. I know that feeling of something that ended up, and he hasn't been able to get back to Major League Baseball, but he does this thing with Eric Sim, the king of JUCO, that's big Instagram follow. Well, they're bringing the battle of the high school kids, and Jack was selected out in Arizona. So tomorrow, Jack's going to see if he can hit 98 miles an hour. So Jackie Legs, we wish you the best of luck.
Jackie, good luck, buddy.
Go Yard.
Yeah, I'm thankful for my 3 children. My beautiful daughter celebrated her first-year wedding anniversary. Taylor, I love you. Zach, outstanding husband, and they're going to plan to try this year, the upcoming year, for my first grandchild. So excited about that. My boy Peyton is going to embark on his first year of medical school. Jack you guys have been with me every day hunting for that chance to play college baseball. He's finished his AP exams, and very proud of him. I got a woman who loves me. I got this, the shit I went through in 24. I can't wait to get to 25. I thank you for you guys. Gentry, thank God we met you, brother, and your boys in the back, because you've given me a voice, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and it's been a lot of fun. We got big plans for 25 as this thing grows, and I think it's growing at a good pace that we like. So I can't thank you enough. I know we want to end on a hashtag.
I think that's the right tone to lead on. leave on.
Yeah.
I think that the gratitude of all of us, and much like you just said, and the Gentry and the boys, and that's the right way to end there in the holidays.
Yeah. It's thinking about everybody. So we want to wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a Merry Kwanzaa, a Happy Festivus. For everybody out there that's aired your grievances, we love you. We appreciate everything that you've done for us in this first year of the Reality Check. This is something that we just, four guys sitting around the bar talked about, and we miss you, Johnny. But we'll be back after the holidays. Everybody be safe out there. Enjoy your families, your friends, and hold them close to you because you never know. And be nice to somebody. We love you.
Happy New
holidays.
Year.
Happy New Year from the Reality Check. We'll see you soon.